Yes, sir. It's been a little bit, some time since I've done this. You know, we're gonna sit down, do my little jiggle, and okay, we're good. What's going on, guys? Mark here from noisypixel.net, and I know it's been a little bit since we've done one of these videos, but we are back with a brand new review, unboxing, jazz video, all of the above. You know how it is here. I'm very excited to try out the featured product, which is, just give me a moment here. It's the Omen 27U gaming monitor. Now the box is pretty big, so I mean, I'm gonna go in and out of the frame here, but again, thank you Omen for sending me out this brand new monitor, 4K 144 Hz HDMI 2.1. Very excited to try this out. It's been a while since I actually bought a new monitor, so within due time, and HP Omen kind of swooped in here and helped me out, which is pretty cool of them. So they have tons of monitors out already, but none of them are really 4K 144 Hz, so this is being one of very few on the market right now, so this is kind of a hot item. It retails for $699 MSRP USD, so hopefully it's pretty nice. We got HDR, it's got decent brightness, quite high specs, so I'm expecting big things from this. Hopefully it does not disappoint for the price point, and let's get started with the unboxing. And it just opens. This is a tough one, but basically when you open it, it's gonna be, I guess, a bunch of cardboard, and what we're gonna have to do is unpack everything. So we're gonna start at the top left here. There's a little piece of cardboard I'm gonna take off. And then we have, let's see here. This is looking like the stand. And attached in the stand, we have an Allen key. So we don't wanna lose the Allen key, make sure you don't lose that. The styrofoam off, let's just unmask the stand here. Foam on the ground. Typical Omen stand. It has the diamond on the bottom with the new rebranding. We have a height adjustable stand. Hopefully we could tilt this guy. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to. That would be pretty lame. They do advertise your headset could go on the back of the monitor, which I think is kind of a weird placement for a headset. I usually shove my monitor like in some corner or something, so I don't really have access to the back of it, or like easy access. So don't really ever see myself using that feature, but nonetheless it's there. We have a manual, and under the manual, there's a flap with some provided wires. So we have a USB-C to USB 3.0. They provide you with a DisplayPort cable. It says 8K, so hopefully this could provide you with a nice high frame rate without any unwanted grain or screen tearing. But we're gonna be moving on from that. This bottom right flap here, and we have the monitor cable, which, believe it or not, which is a rare power cable, the Mickey Mouse shaped cable. You don't see that very often, so if you lose that cable, good luck having an extra one in your house. You're gonna have to buy one for sure, unless you have LG TVs. It's probably an LG monitor, just like everything else as well. In that same pocket, we have the power inverter, so this is gonna provide you all that power to your monitor. Pretty much, that's all the accessories on the top. We'll lift this die cut out so you can see what I'm pulling out of, and this is pretty much garbage. So this is the moment of truth where we're going to lift the monitor right out. Again, the box is kind of big. I don't really have the widest setup here, so we're just gonna have to film it like this. Let's unveil the monitor. And here is the great reveal of the screen here. Look at that, fresh, no dents or anything. Very minimal frame, or bezel, if you want to use the correct terms. So that's pretty nice. I do love a very minimal bezel. It has a very nice look. This is actually a backlit RGB monitor. I don't know how bright it's going to be. Hopefully it's bright enough to backlight my desk at night. On the back right, to be exact, we have a power, and we have a control knob, I guess, to select the menu options. Seems pretty simple to use, especially if there's only one button. So you can see all of our ports here. We have a variety of connections. We have two HDMI ports, a display port. We have a power cable port right there. We have an aux port for your headphones or any 3.5mm jack. Looks like we have our USB-C on the right side for the USB cable provided, so we can make sure those two USB ports actually right next to the C port are functional. To finish up the unboxing, what you're gonna wanna do with the stand is after you slide it in, you're gonna take the Allen key that they provided you, otherwise your stand's gonna fall off, and you're gonna push down, and you're actually gonna screw in the stand to the monitor. Okay, so that's both screws, so now the stand is officially mounted. Very excited to try this guy out. But anyway, guys, thank you for sticking out the unboxing. That would be everything in the box. We're gonna try this out, plug it in, test it out, review it, you know? Make sure you guys know how I feel about it. This has been Mark from Noisy Pixel, and here is the review of the HP Omen 27U 4K monitor.
In the day and age of 4K televisions, we haven't really seen a full transition to 4K monitors as a standard. That can be for a number of reasons, including cost, need, performance, etc. I, myself, was a 4K hater on the PC monitor side, until the Omen 27U showed up. Overall, 4K seems scary due to increased load on your GPU when gaming, or even the decreased icon size of the UI. Also, it's even hard to find 4K with high enough refresh rates to satisfy nitpicky gamers. Now, we see change amongst gaming monitors, and the Omen 27U monitor is one of few leading the next-gen gaming movement. The first thing that stands out about the Omen 27U is, well, nothing really. If we're being honest, it looks almost identical to all of the other Omen monitors, which I suppose is bittersweet. We like consistency in the brand, but a little stylization doesn't hurt from model to model. Nonetheless, we look past that and we can appreciate the almost borderless bezel of the monitor. Desk base is saved with less bezel if you're using multiple monitors, as you can butt them closer together for a cleaner transition from panel to panel. Also, it just looks sleek, especially when the screen is on. Next, the display screw-on stand is robust and easy to adjust, requiring just a little elbow grease and taking up minimal space. The 27U does not feature portrait mode rotation. The exterior of the 27U features a smooth-to-the-touch plastic frame with a bit of a glossy look. The Omen logo can also be found on the diamond stand base, staying true to the diamond logo. It seems at this point the diamond shapes aren't going anywhere, but at least the 27U is weighted properly with a nice center of gravity. I'd like to quickly throw in that the Omen 27U is not VESA mountable, so for those looking for a minimal desktop, it looks like this one is going on the stand. Looking a bit deeper into the monitor, the back features I/O ports that include aux 3.5mm, 2 HDMIs, one port being HDMI 2.1, one display port, a desk lock, 2 USBs, and 1 USB-C intended for PC connection features, such as the RGB on the monitor. Yes, the Omen 27U features RGB on the underside of the panel, leaving an underglow of your choice on the Diamond Omen logo, and a diamond-shaped rear LED. The underglow is one of my favorite features of this panel by far, opening up the door to beautiful customization and highlighting some of my favorite plush toys on my desk. On the other hand, the rear LED light is cool, and I could see what Omen was going for, but unfortunately, it just needs to be brighter. If your monitor does not sit up against the wall closely, the rear light barely presents itself. Moving forward, the Omen 27U is a misnomer of gaming displays, as it features speakers. If you are fatigued from your headset, kick back and take advantage of such a rare display feature. I can say that the speakers do not get very loud at all, so it's barely a backup plan. I did find the speakers hugely helpful when sitting down with clients as I film a lot of video. They allowed me to save some space on my desk whilst filling us in simultaneously rather than taking turns passing a headset. Lastly, we close the hardware talk with the power and menu button knob. I find myself weirded out about the placement of the buttons. You have to awkwardly reach under or around the monitor to reach the power. And it's even harder if you have stubby fingers or a monitor on the right side of the 27U. It just seems like their design format leaves them in a weird final placement for those buttons. Overall, the button and knob feel responsive, and the screen menu is easy to use, even though it's easier to configure using Omen's Gaming Hub software. The monitor also turns on and off relatively fast, which is always a benefit. The Omen 27U performs just as good as the display looks. Generally speaking, most people are going to have trouble running a clean 144Hz on any 4K monitor due to the load that 4K puts on your machine. That being said, the sharpness and beauty of this display shines through, maintaining about 90 frames per second to 144 frames per second on AAA games, like Apex Legends for example. Regardless of frame rate, there was no sign of screen tearing in sight due to the built-in sync support, and it stays consistent throughout your game time. Adding on to this, other than the small decrease in frames per second integrity, there is no other identifiable hindrance from using 4K with your machine. That being said, I'd like to clarify that this Omen 27U review is conducted on PCs with 3070 cards and above. Also, we tested the monitor by itself and with two sister monitors with 1080p resolution and above, and there was a gain of about 5 frames per second on the dips when gaming. It wasn't enough for me to turn off your 3-screen monitor setup, so stay bright, nerds. Next, the viewing angle in terms of sharpness is pretty good, especially on text processing, but you do lose quite a lot of detail in your shadows and blacks when looking at the 27U everywhere but centered. Moving on with some smaller talking points. If you are afraid of 4K due to the over sharpening and decrease in size of screen icons, I would not be scared of this monitor. With Windows, you can increase icon size to a recommended size of 150%, and since you have the pixel density, everything remains sharp and clean looking. You will experience some icon shrinkage in some of your favorite software, such as Adobe in-software buttons, but overall, the icon size problem is negligible. If anything, everything just looks that much better, especially text and small details. I don't think I can go back to 1440p after using the Omen 27U, but maybe it's just the first 4K monitor placebo speaking. Anyway, the monitor holds up on the brightness and color end as well. Brightness output is enough to blind you, and that's just how I like my screens, honestly, especially since I edit a lot of photos and video. Color accuracy, brightness, and HDR are very important, and the 27U looks beautifully saturated, with large dynamic range when you want and high contrast when you want. The customization can be done with the monitor's physical buttons, but Omen's gaming hub makes it easy to get the best color for you out of the display. I like using the native preset, but you can fine-tune the contrast and RGB tones inside the monitor's hardware. There is something about the color tone of the Omen displays coming from using a 25i. The blues and greens seem to explode off of the screen, and I can't get enough of it. The details in your favorite video games just have a more vivid life on the Omen 27U, and I'm sure the brightness is doing a lot of that work too. Going back to customization, Omen Gaming Hub offers crosshair overlay for any game, specific settings such as edge precision, shadow vision, and response time control, which noticeably changes the speed of the display. I can see the changes when you move your mouse cursor quickly around the screen. Keep an eye out for that setting. The most fun comes from the lighting controls, of course, along with Omen's fresh Light Studio plugin, which opens the door for more users than just gamers. Light Studio allows you to connect third-party apps with your Omen ecosystem hardware, easily integrating all RGB products you own. I'd like to mention that they do have limited support at the moment, but they will be working on adding on more support. I was able to sync my mousepad, Omen 27U, backlighting and accent light, and my room RGB lighting from Philips Hue all together with Light Studio, and my mind was actually blown by how easy it was. You basically get a free HDMI sync box from Hue built into your Omen Gaming Hub software. You can have your whole desk and room lighting respond to game and video audio, as long as it's coming from your PC. The sync box is a $230 device sold by Hue to integrate your TV with room lighting, and now it's free for PC users. Another loss for television, so you should probably start playing more video games. I would like to point out a complication I've experienced with the Omen 27U. The display experienced quote-unquote seemingly dead pixels. First off, make sure you update your GPU drivers when using the Omen 27U. That will come in handy, because at one point I thought the Omen 27U broke in less than 2 weeks. A full vertical green strip of pixels appeared on my left side display, and I was shocked. Long story short, after unplugging, replugging, restarting, input swapping, wire swapping, and updating the drivers, I was able to get the line to go away. This is when my heart rate reduced back to normal speed. Do not panic and update your drivers. I'd like to mention a few days later, the green line is actually back. I believe it is the provided DisplayPort cable. I plugged in a high-speed HDMI cable to HDMI 2.1 port and have not looked back. It's the shame if the monitor broke in less than a month, and it's also a shame if it's just the provided cable. Either way, it gave me a headache, and I do not want to know what is broken. I'm just going to roll with the HDMI. The Omen 27U truly brings light to the 4K display arena, and the newly coming scene of 144Hz 4K displays. There aren't too many options, and I would say if it's in the budget, this monitor can be a contender. There are some negatives to this display, such as the lack of VESA mounting and my pesky green line dilemma, but overall, this monitor kept a smile on my face regardless. There is no compromise in performance, brightness, color, or contrast. The price is also quite steep for most consumers, but those spending money on 4K GPUs for gaming, I'd expect another charge to your debit card won't seem like much of an impact. Also, the small features like the underglow is icing on the cake. Noisy Pixel is giving the Omen 27U 4K 144Hz HDMI 2.1 monitor a B+. Thank you for watching. I wanted to rate this display higher, but the DisplayPort troubleshooting, lack of speaker volume, underwhelming backlighting, and no VESA mounting, given the price of the unit, the B Plus had to stick. I don't like when selling points don't follow through too well, and we will see how this compares to future HDMI 2.1 displays. Noisy Pixel is a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all of our future content. See ya, nerds.
Noisy Pixel.